We're now going to create the connection between the piston head and the crank. So what we're going to do to start with is change our view on this right hand side, and we want it with hidden edges visible. Okay. There are lots of ways to do this. We're taking the shading off completely because it's hopefully going to make our drawing easier to do. We're going to draw it on a new work plane. So the new work plane is the one we created earlier, okay? Plane 1, and that is in the center here. So when we extrude, we bear in mind it's in the center, okay? So let's draw on that work plane and create a sketch, and we'll look at it from the front so it's a little bit easier to do. And we want the connection to come over this loop, or over this bar here, and over this one here as well. So let's start by drawing a rectangle just over the two, making sure we don't get any orange locks on there because they'll make it more difficult to dimension. We'll set the width of the bar. If we set it to 20, and then the height here, we want it at 100. Okay, the distance from this to here we'll set at 5, and hopefully the distance from the top of this to here, that's 2.5. So we want to try and marry them out a little bit better than that. So what we'll do is just change this one down to 4, and then we're going to up this to 100.5 there. So we should have a 4 gap and a 4 gap either side of those circles. We're just going to do the same, measuring from the edge to the side here as well, and that's going to be 2.5 to make it even, because the circle is 15 and the width is 20, so 15 off 20 gives us 5, half of that either side, leaves us with a 2.5 there. So with that done, that's good so far. We're also going to use a sketch fillet tool at the top to add our rounds in, so we click on the two that we want to put the round between. A round of 5 looks a bit small for this, so I'm going to up that to 10, so it's going all the way around, and it'll create half circle at the top there. Okay, and we're going to do the same at the bottom. I didn't put that last one down, did I there? My mistake. And that's it. Okay, so we've got that arm, the connecting arm, now created. We'll finish that sketch and we're going to extrude now. There is a chunk of this that I know when I come to assemble won't work, but what I want to do is carry on and show you why it's not going to work, and how you then use that information to develop your design ideas in a project kind of style. So we're going to make sure that that's symmetric, and we're just going to make that 5mm thick. We don't want it too thick because it will get in the way of everything else. So we've got it symmetric, 5mm, and then it's that sketch 16 that we want to extrude. Okay, what you'll see by selecting it on a features list, it's going over the whole thing, it hasn't created the hole. So I'm actually going to cross that space, sketch 16 off, and I'm going to select it from this drawing here. That's still doing it solid, so I do need to go back into the sketch and add the circles in as well. So we're going to just cancel that extrude now, go back into sketch 16, edit, look at it from the front, and we're going to have to draw these circles in ourselves. So if we draw that in, we'll then have to dimension it in a second, and we'll draw the same one in. Don't get locked onto anything because that's going to make it more difficult for doing your dimensions. But here we're going to go size of the circle as 15, and the distance between the center of this and the side is going to be 10, which is already done, which is nice. So we can actually just delete that out. And the distance from there to the bottom, take your time to get it to measure to the right point, it'll make all the difference. Should be, oh, 10's not quite right, so that might be 12. Play by until it's perfect. 11.5 maybe? That's a very strange number for it to be. Okay, 11.5 works, so you can see it marries up perfectly, and then we're going to do the same on the top. Let's add our dimensions in. So 15 diameter, distance from the center to this edge, make sure it's the dot that goes orange, not the lines. There we go. And that, if it matches the bottom, was 11.5. Nice round numbers we're working with. And then we're going to make that 10 from the side as well. Okay, so they're drawn in. We can finish that sketch. Now our extrude will work. So let's rotate that round so we can just pick that on its own. You can see now that we're extruding and it's not taking them circles there. So we want it to be 5mm and if you remember we changed it to symmetric so it went either side and it'd stay in the centre of the piston, and we can finish that. So we've got that bar connecting the two together, and we only need to create the one because we're just going to use the same bar, the same piston head on the next two holes in our assembly as well. So let's turn shaded back on and see how it's looking. So we've got our bar connecting, so hopefully when this rotates round now, it's going to pull the piston head down and push it back up again as we're animating that. So the only thing we need to create, the last thing, is the handle, and we'll do that in the next tutorial. Good luck.